Thanks, Laura. Josh, could you shed a little light on why Danny wasn't in the match day roster today, and also with Cecilio, with him not starting either of the two matches, I guess could you take us through some of the thought process there? And I guess could you say with any certainty that he's in your plans for next season? Do you expect him to be back, just given not starting either of the last two matches of the year?
Um, yeah, I think Cecilio's obviously an important player for the club. He didn't start the last game. We performed really well. It was performance based that he didn't start the last game, and our guys, it was one of the best performances we've had this year. So piggybacking off of that, we didn't want to make too many changes tonight. Obviously, there's a number of guys that were physically unfit. Nikki and Johnny picked up, and as well as Danny. So those guys weren't able and available for this game, and it's disappointing. But CC's definitely in the plans. He's had a solid year. He's played as a striker a lot of this year. And the two games against Portland, we used him in that way as well. I mean, he did a really good job. So it was obviously based a little bit on the last game that we performed really well. So I didn't think Musa really gave us a ton up top in the first half. So that was the idea of bringing him in. But there's plenty of room for improvement for a lot of guys. But he's performed pretty well this year.
Did Danny pick up an injury in training this week then?
Yeah, he was just, again, he's fit. He was physically, mentally, he wasn't fit for this game. And it was part of it. Obviously, we're disappointed to lose a couple guys. Johnny has a little bit of tore a muscle in his arm as well as a ligament in his elbow. And Nikki, it's a groin strain. So between the three of them, not having all three of them available, it stunk. It wasn't great.
Thank you. Next up, Eric Goodman. Go for it, Eric.
Thanks, Laura. Josh, first of all, I'll say congratulations on wrapping up year one in spite of tonight. But just your thoughts on kind of the on-field leadership from the veterans there kind of towards the end of the match. Is that something that has been missing a little bit when you guys have been on the road as opposed to at home?
I don't know. And what in particular are you talking about? Is there something specific that you're talking about?
Mostly body language related. Late in that match, guys like Alex Ring, for example, not necessarily like getting in guys' faces and picking them up. It seemed to be something that we do see at Q2 Stadium, but haven't seen too much on the road.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, it's those guys are warriors. They've worked tirelessly all year, and I can understand what you're getting at, I guess. But they pushed hard. Obviously, it's a difficult game. When you go down against Portland, they have so much speed and athleticism. They can certainly hurt you in transition, and that's something that we'll obviously need to get better at dealing with in the off season and bring in some personnel that can help with that. But I don't think the body language was terrible. Again, we were pushing for goals. I wanted our guys to score a goal. We were making some moves there to try to get Alex a little further up the field, Diego a little further up the field, and even more central. And so you keep Triusi close to goal. So they pushed, body language and certainly, of course, we'd like to have guys that have bite and can have leadership on the field. But I think those guys have it. They show it in different ways. But it is an area that we need to improve on next year for sure. And those are things we've talked about already and are obviously going to try to make improvements on.
And just a quick follow-up, kind of along the same lines as Chris. Is
Sure.
the captaincy something that for 2022 is locked in, or is it something that might be reevaluated as next year's squad kind of takes shape over the offseason?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, again, I think Alex has done a great job. We need more leaders. We need more, people that have that. Obviously, we brought in Sebastian. He has another way of leading. Diego's been fantastic this year, but we'll see what players, what the squad looks like next year. But I won't focus too much on that yet. But we need more on-field leaders. We need more in the locker room, and it's a good group. I mean, we play good soccer, and we got to get good performances more consistently. But you got to win games, and that's going to be a big focus of bringing in players that are going to help us win games, both ends of the field. We got to make some improvements.
Thanks, Josh.
Yep.
Thank you. Next up, Zach Smith. Go for it, Zach.
Thank you. You've won back-to-back games once this year, and I guess after a good performance against Sporting Kansas City, I guess what is the challenge of stringing together good performances, and what do you lack to kind of to do that on a consistent basis?
I think it varies from game to game and certainly the opponents and scheduling, but I'm with you on this one. The performance against Kansas City was extremely good. You wanted to build off that, and obviously now we have to make a couple changes based on certainly who's available. And but again, we got guys that can go out there and get the job done. it's a little bit of everything. It's performance, maybe a little bit of luck. It's obviously got to come in with the right mentality to deal with the game. And, to get in 1-0 at halftime gives you a fighting chance. So to give that one up at the end of the half really, puts a damper on the first half. It wasn't perfect, but we started the game quite brightly and created chances, had a nice possession, got behind the lines. And those were the things, those were the themes that we wanted to see: speed of play and how we could move the opponent. And as we gave up a goal needlessly, again, I think that was, certainly a mistake on our part that led to that. It affected us. Certainly it took, we took our foot off the gas. It gave them energy, but it's to get back-to-back results. And that was, a goal of ours. It takes work. I mean, it takes, obviously the grind to be able to get through difficult parts of the game, but you got to find ways to get through those poor moments and be there with a chance to win. And, we weren't able to do that today.
Thank you. Next up, Mark Turner. Go for it, Mark.
Thanks, Laura. Hey, Coach. Well, I'm sure you're glad you're at the end of the road and you get a chance now to decompress and have a bit of a break. I wonder what your overriding feeling is right now. With the exception of a few high spot moments this evening, the team really didn't seem to be at the races. And so I'm wondering what your overriding feeling is in that regard and why you think that was, particularly, as you said, in contrast to an excellent match against Kansas last time out.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say. Obviously, it's a great place. You feel a lot of energy. The weather's nice, and again, I think we started really well. I think the energy then was nice, and we didn't sustain that. We certainly didn't have the ability to put more plays together. Obviously, as the game goes, you have more ball, but it's fruitless at that point. We want to obviously dictate things in a better way. The goal would give us confidence. We obviously didn't create enough chances, but those are our hallmarks: speed of play, the ability to move the opponent, press after loss to kind of keep the opponent at bay. But again, I think we gave up, and throughout this year, we gave up some poor goals. It's a poor goal to give up. It's needless. And again, maybe that zaps some of our confidence and certainly our energy, but it also lifts the opponent. And now you got to chase a little more, you got to push for it a little more, and it becomes challenging. So it's something we got to get better at dealing with, without a doubt. And we got to find ways to be more consistent, but put together good performances and get good results.
Thanks for your honesty this season, Coach. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, John Lupo. Go for it, John.
Thank you, Laura. Josh, first of all, you were mentioning about having leaders and especially on-field leaders. Can you just talk about Brad Stuver's play for a minute? I know that he had the most saves in the league, which on the one hand you can say is a result of the defense giving up a lot of shots, but on the other hand, is just a testament to how he was able to perform and how he was able to lead out there. So if you could just comment on Brad's play.
Yeah, well, I think his play was solid. Again, I think the first 12 games of the year is probably one of the best goalies. Certainly playing out of the back, shot stopping, just command of the penalty box. And again, as we suffered and maybe weren't able to score goals, weren't able to get results, it affects everybody. We gave up some poor goals building up out of the back, so that starts to affect everybody. But over the long course, over the long haul, he's been a solid contributor, and we need him to grow in leadership for sure. And I think this was his first year being the starting goalkeeper, understanding what that feels like and the way that he can use his voice and his position within our group. And we expect good things from him, and he's come in and done a good job already, but we'd like to see him grow. And I personally have talked to him a good bit about that and ways that leadership can develop. And we'll have a lot of responsibility for him. He's a big part of our group going forward, and it was a solid year for him. Happy for him that he was the out and out starter and got to show his quality, and we'll lean on that again next year.
Also, I know that the season just ended, so there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And I know as time passes, you'll probably have a better overview of the season. But if you could just maybe describe one thing that you could take away from the season from your perspective, or one thing that you were happy with, maybe one thing you'd like to see improve. Again, I know you're just coming off of the final game, but is there anything like maybe a quick snapshot of the season, your first season in general?
Yeah, I think the ability to come in and really establish the way that we want to play, to have the fluidity, the offensive ideas. And I think the last, 10, 12 games, obviously as we got a forward and an attacking player with Sebastian Musa, I think you can see what we can do. Offensively, we became much more believable, much more dangerous, much more, goal threatening. And then defensively, again, we got to continue to get better. But there's some areas that we need to improve on. Consistency is obviously something that we've got to, get our head around. More competition in the group creates a lot of, certainly the competition of bringing in players will help energize our group and make our group even better. So I think those are some of the things that we'll focus on. But I was pretty proud with what we were able to do in a short time. Obviously, we didn't get enough goals in the midpoint of the season, and thus those were probably affected our ability to win games. So it affected us. And hopefully next year those things will be less present and we'll be, in a better place.
Great. Thanks for everything this year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Looks like we have time for 2 more questions. Phil West, go ahead and take the next one. And Bob Ballou, go ahead and take the last one.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious about the road form. Again,
Yeah.
obviously home form seems like it's been good over the last few games, but obviously tonight, kind of a continued disappointment. Just wondering kind of where you see maybe the difference being, if it's a mental thing or if it's just a travel or if it's just a luck issue.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's a luck issue, but we started out quite well, and we started out with 8 games on the road, so we grabbed a couple wins quickly. So the results, the road's challenging as it always is, but again, I think we've had some good moments on the road that we didn't get results. We had some poor performances on the road as well, but we'll look at it. We'll look at everything as the season concludes on how we travel, certainly what it looks like. Do we need to go in a night before, 2 nights before? But we'll do a deep dive on it, but certainly we've got to get better on the road. I agree with you. At the end of the year, we certainly could have won our last 5 games at home. A little more indicative of who we are and what we want to be. But you got to make up and grab points on the road as well. So we'll certainly do a good analysis of what that looks like and things that we can change for next year.
Thank you. Go for it, Bob.
Yeah, Josh, just in terms of you as a head coach, what do you think you learned most about yourself this year? And as you go into the offseason, how much do you think you need to change, or as you continue to grow as a head coach, what is it about you that you think kind of as you go into the offseason?
Yeah, I think there's a number of things. I think, again, how we prepare and certainly how we train. We onboarded a lot of new guys this year. So going into next year, I think we'll be in a different place with the starting point. So it's, again, how we deliver messages, and certainly the teaching component is really important to how we play. The player management side is extremely critical. We have we'll have obviously a similar size roster. We'll bring in a few new guys, but player management, certainly game strategy and preparation are the keys that I look at. And I think on some of those areas it was extremely good, but there's always going to be room for improvement. I'll be the first to do a deep dive on all the things that we did, from how we prepared for games, how we reviewed games, the game time decisions or game strategy decisions. All of that stuff is stuff that I'll review. But I think there's good in there, just like I said with the players. And for me, there's certainly some room for improvement as well.
Thank you. That was the last question. Hi, Alex.
Hello.
Hi, Chris Bills, go for it.
Thanks, Laura. Alex, you guys finished the year with 9 straight losses on the road during a stretch when you really started to play some of your best soccer at home. How do you square that? What is it to you that's been different in these road matches from how you've been playing at home?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the difference to the KC game and today was we defended much more compact. There were way too much space between the lines. Now playing as a center back the last 2 games, I think you could really see today we had a high line as defenders already, as a defensive line, and they still had a lot of space to play in front of us. And then it's a foot race where they have good quality up front. I think that's something we players have to take a little responsibility for. If we're going for a high press, we need to get much better pressure on the ball and just be way more compact. I think if they would have played out their situations better, it could have been 2-3, 4-0 in the first half. And with the ball, I think it was okay today, decent, but we didn't really get dangerous. So yeah, I think that it's a bad game to end the season, because like you said, I think we had some really good games, especially at home in the last stretch of the season, and that's something you have to be smart when you go on the road. I think a couple of the goals too sometimes you don't need to play it all out. You just smack the ball away and be done with it and get the team back behind the ball. So this season has had a lot of growing pains, but I knew that coming in here. I think the guys knew that coming in. We worked hard, but yeah, it's definitely not what we wanted or what we expected. But I hope we learn our lessons from this year in order to do better next year. That's what it's all about. It's a process, and we need to grow. Next year we can't make these same mistakes, and I hope that's something we all think about. And off season is important for us. Like I said, it's a new team, and we knew everything wouldn't work out, but still we expect better, and that's something I hope we'll get sorted out for next year.
Thank you. Next up, Mark Turner. Go for it, Mark.
Cheers, Laura. Hey, Skipper. When we got to talk a couple of weeks ago, you talked about everything being in place in this organization. You also talked about next season and saying that you guys are going to work your asses off to try and obviously get more W's on the board. As you look toward next season, what are the other couple of non-negotiables that you leading this group are going to be looking for next year to ensure a better season?
Yeah, I think first of all, being an expansion team, we just have to strengthen the squad, in depth and in key positions. MLS being what it is, you can't just go out and buy whomever you want with how much money you want. So that's what I mean with it being a process, and knowing that coming in here that we're not a team that's going to be ready. That being said, we should be disappointed with this season, because I think we could have done better. It's small nuances. We're not far off, but it's a certain cleverness, a certain mentality too, like today where we kind of go off script tactically, especially defending wise, and that's something that can happen because you're gonna get punished straight away. So yeah, those are things we need to focus on. But yeah, definitely mentality wise, it's nine in a row on the road. That's unacceptable, and that's something. If you want to fight for playoff spots, you have to be able to get results on the road too. It doesn't always need to be pretty and nice, but that's the cleverness you need to have.
Appreciate your honesty this season, Skipper.
Always.
Thank you. Next up, Eric Goodman. Go for it, Eric.
Hey, Alex, just a couple of quick ones. First of all, I wonder if you needed to be told, or if you could just kind of, see the lay of the land and understand that, playing center back was going to be something the team would need from you these last couple of games. Kind of what was your reaction to that? And what was it like for you playing? And then secondly, kind of getting to the end of the season, and now is there a sense of relief now looking ahead, a chance to reset?
Yeah, I mean, Josh told me a couple of days before the Kansas game that he would play me as a center back. I don't see myself as a center back, but I do it for the team. That's sometimes you have to do tasks you maybe don't want to, but you don't complain. You put the team first. I think if I weren't to do that, then I wouldn't be a good captain. So yeah, I hope I'll play a little bit higher next year again. It was going from playing as a 8 or 10 against Dallas to center back is a little bit different, but it's something that if Josh asked me to do it, I do it. I don't complain about it, and I wouldn't call it a relief that the season ended. I'm disappointed that it ended this early for us. At the same time, I know it's going to motivate me to work hard in the off season and to be ready next year. Like I said, we need to strengthen the squad a little bit, especially depth wise. And we have a couple of guys coming back from injuries who people haven't even seen really play yet. So it's all about, getting the right mindset for the team, bringing in guys with good mentality who are ready to work. And like I said previously, I think everything else is in place. Our fan base is amazing. facility, our stadium, and then it's up to us to walk the walk and not just talk the walk. And that's something that will motivate me in off season.
Thank you. Next up, John Lupo. Go for it, John.
Thank you, Laura. Alex, if you mentioned about getting adjusted to coming to a new team from NYCFC. Just how would you assess your overall performance, your role as captain, and what you feel you can do going into next season?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things myself and the club, the organization learned. Like I said, it's a first-year team playing in New York. We played to win the Eastern Conference, and there were always very, very high expectations. So I knew that it was different coming in here, but I signed on for a long-term project. I believe in this club. I believe in the people who run this club and in their vision. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come here. Does it hurt to watch the playoffs from home on my couch? Yes, but that will fuel me for next year, like I said before. And there's a lot we need to learn from this year that I think was obvious coming in here. But overall, I've really enjoyed playing here, especially at home in front of our fans. I'm still excited to be here. I want to be here for as long as I can. I already said I don't want to play for another team in MLS. So I think that said it all on my behalf.
Thank you. Looks like we have time for 2 more questions. Babalu, go ahead and take the next one. And then Phil West, go ahead and take the last one.
Yeah, Alex, now that it's behind you, can you just speak to how frustrating this season really was for all of you guys as you tried to fight through some of the things you had to fight through?
Yeah, I mean, as a competitor, when the results aren't going your way and when you're not picking up wins, it hurts. You work hard the whole week. And like I said, it was small differences that decide games. And there's a certain cleverness and experience that we've had this year now that we have to take with us next year. There were guys who hadn't played as much in previous years or in their previous clubs who played a lot this year. So it's a new situation for them as well. And I think it's important that we strengthen the squad depth-wise. I think that's something we saw this year when we had a couple of injuries, this and that. It's a fall-off, which is completely normal because we're an expansion team. But nevertheless, of course, there were times where you're very frustrated, but you just have to, channel that energy and try to give it your all. I think we never gave up. Sometimes we just hit the wall with not having enough quality or not being clever enough. There are good teams here who've been around for many years and who've been at the top of this league for a reason. And that's somewhere we want to be in years to come. And it was a painful growing pains this year. But I'm already looking forward to next year.
Thank you. Last question, Phil West. Go for it, Phil.
Yeah. So in terms of strengthening the squad, then what kind of players would you want to see come in? I mean, not specific names, but like what positions, where do you think it would help the most to strengthen the team?
Yeah, I think that's Claudio's and Josh's vision, of course, depending on how they want to play. But I think everyone knows what our game philosophy is like. And, especially on the road, you have to be able to play clever. It's always a fight. And, you have to bring guys with, I think the most important thing is, good mentality. Of course, you need technical players and guys who make the difference. But I think just an overall, we need to get to a mentality where we scratch a result no matter what. And we have that in here too. I think the experiences we've made this year, if we look back and take the right lessons from them, we'll make a jump next year, because I don't think the differences are that big. We've played many games where we've played well and then we still ended up losing because we don't have that cleverness yet, and that's something we need to work on mentality wise. We need good players, guys who fight and run until they die. And then a mixture. But like I said, that's Claudio's and Josh's position. I don't get involved in those things yet. Maybe when I finish my career after.
But I guess maybe you don't want to be the center back depth then, right?
No, I hope I wouldn't have to play center back next year. I think that's obvious. But yeah, like I said, I do it without complaining. But yeah, I told Josh after the game, maybe I wouldn't need to do that next year. Would be nice.
Thank you, Alex. That was the last question for tonight.
Thank you.